Hi, everybody. It's Mrs. Cassell. I'm so sorry that I missed advisory this morning. It's the first time that technical difficulties really did come knocking at my door from teaching at home. For those of you who are there and probably waited, I'm so sorry to have spent some of your early morning time together with you just waiting for me. And for those of you who weren't there, I miss you all the time. This is my virtual recording of our advisory lesson. Should you care to partake? No offense taken if it is not something that you care to consume. So we were going to do a character strong lesson today. So if I pull it up right here, blah, blah, blah. We're looking at the connection activities again. They just want us to do the super small, teeny tiny piece. But this is lesson 121. I'm going to log in with my secret password. Yeah, so control the controllables. I certainly feel like I don't have very many controllables right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. I'm also going to drag my screen just a little bit because I kind of didn't plan ahead for that. So we were going to do a get to know you with the hot seat, which is actually, it's a really fun question. So this is a good way for us to walk around and, work through a group and talk together. So first, the person who's in the hot seat picks a number. So that's me. 4 is my favorite number, so I'm going to pick this, and then I'm going to answer this. Those 3 important names in your life, and tell us more about one of the 3 people you named. 3 important names in my life. The first people that come to mind are my 2 brothers, Andy and Tim. So both of them have disabilities, and I'm the middle child. So having 2 brothers, both of with whom have disabilities, was a very important part of me becoming me, because that was my reality growing up, was being aware that there were things I couldn't do, or sorry, that my brothers couldn't do, that I could do, and the injustice of that is something that I've never gotten over. I'd like for our world to figure out how to solve that particular problem, not just to find ways to help and support and heal people with disabilities, but for our world to heal. How do we include everybody? How do we make decisions? We make buildings, we make systems like schools and hospitals and mental health services and employment. How do we make that work for people, especially those who, because of biological factors, like a disability that they cannot control, are unable to access the same opportunities that I can just choose to access with no limitations? There's lots of ways that that same injustice plays out for marginalized groups in our world, but people with disabilities are often forgotten, despite the fact that they're among us and around us throughout our community. So I guess I just named 2 names and talked about both of them together, but my brother Andy and my brother Tim deserve almost all the credit in shaping who I am as a person. So they're the first and longest, most important people in my life. So that's me right there. Okay, so then I believe we just, they don't have a button on here. Maybe I'm supposed to click this button up here, like this. Can I actually reach it? There we go. So we go back and we would have picked a new hot seat question for a new person, that sort of thing. So the controller this year has caused a lot of changes to school, to our families, to our routines, and a whole lot more. That's an understatement. One of the things that we know is the fewer things we feel like we can control in our lives, the more stressed we are. That's true. So, to start, let's have a few people share over the next 3 minutes about one thing that has felt outside of your control over the past year. We'll aim to generate 3 to 5 unique shares out loud or in the chat. So, one thing that's outside my control is that I've never been back to school since Arthur was born. So this is one of the weird places where real life interferes with school, right? The image of your teacher lives under her desk, and when you run into her at the grocery store, it's weird. That's a very real thing. I still feel that when I meet my teachers in the community, because I grew up here too. And I run into my teachers at the grocery store these decades later sometimes, and I'm like, wait, what? And when they got married and started having kids, or when I would see them in public and go, wow, you have a whole real life, that was always really jarring for me as a student, as a young person. So, as a teacher, I can tell you that that's jarring as a transition too. In some ways, there's sort of two people that are part of my life. There's the teacher, Mrs. Cassill, and there's the at-home Mrs. Cassill. And as I was preparing to go back to school after Arthur was born, the pandemic reached our shores and we closed schools. So it's not just that the pandemic meant I'm not at school doing my job. It meant that after becoming a mom again, having my second baby, I never got to go back and resume my professional life. That part of who I am has been on hold for a long time. Now, don't get me wrong, I have been overjoyed in ways that I couldn't have imagined to have this massive amount of time at home with my kids. But I also really miss being at school. I picked being a teacher because I really wanted to contribute to the world in the teeny tiny way that I, as a teeny tiny person, was capable of. So here, as we try to figure out how do we learn? How do we teach? How do we get to know each other? How do we build community? How do we move forward while we're all so separated and isolated? It definitely feels outside my control that I never, in some ways, got to pick back up that mantle of being a teacher. I never got to re-engage those superpowers. I never got to step back into that world to go, cool, I've got my head in the game. I remember how to be a teacher after being gone, having a baby again. So um, that piece, not just the pandemic, but that, I didn't get to go back and figure out how to be a teacher again after Arthur was born. It's definitely something outside my control over this past year. Can help to check in and remind ourselves about the things we can control when so much seems unsure. To warm up and get us into this mindset, we'll put 3 random images on the screen. For each, share one thing that you can't control and 2 things that you could. And there's examples provided. Oops. Okay. So here we go. I'm a Lego robotics teacher. I have experienced this many, many, many times. So some examples that are there. I can't control that someone else put these Legos here. I would not dump the Legos and leave them on the floor. I can't control that somebody else did that. What I can control is whether or not I choose to pick them up. I can control whether I choose to solve this problem right now. That's a big one for me. I often get overwhelmed because I feel like the things that are out of my control that I want to get them back under control. If I could do them right now, that would help. Like I need to do it right now. And waiting to solve that problem is sometimes so stressful for me. So the reality is that I can in fact control and I don't have to clean this mess up right now if there's something else I should be doing instead. Oh man, I can't control that I will never be a professional athlete. There's definitely some genes involved in becoming anybody who's as skilled as these athletes are right here. So I can't control what genetic talents I brought to the table. I'm short, I'm stocky, I got long legs. I could probably practice a lot, but I like to eat and all sorts of things. I can't control some of those factors that have just shaped who I am. I can control how I feel about my own level of fitness, though. I can control that I don't need to be a professional athlete to feel good about how I can move around in the world. I can control how I feel about other people being more talented than me. I don't have to feel jealous. I also don't have to feel guilty that I'm not as capable as these 2 athletes that are shown in this example. I can feel good about myself for who I am and my own talents without measuring myself against somebody else. The cell phone. Okay. um, let's see. Oh man, this is a hard one for me. I'll admit my first thought is there's an illusion that the whole point of that cell phone is to give me control. But I have definitely felt like there's ways that my cell phone controls me sometimes, which is crazy to say, you guys. 10 years ago, I would not have said that, and that's not a long time when you're old like me. So it's amazing how fast that's changed. It makes me nervous about the future if I'm not aware of how that technology affects my life. So, um, let's see. I can't control what information is out there. I can't control that. I can't control if there's new news that I haven't read. I can't control if there's new news that I shouldn't read because it's going to make me upset. I can't control if other people have responded to my emails or my text messages or posted something new and interesting. And that's a good one for me. When I'm stressed, sometimes I think, gosh, I'll go online a little bit and I'll find something that will distract me or fill up my cup. I can't control if that content doesn't exist because I can't control what other people put out there for me to view and see. Um, but I can control what I choose to do in order to give me that little happiness boost. If my cell phone doesn't do it, I shouldn't be trying to use that for that happiness boost. I can do literally anything else. I can go spend time with my family. I can read. I can exercise. I can go outside. I can choose to do something that I know will fill up my cup a little bit and help me feel better rather than feeling like my cell phone failed me or that like that's the reality because I didn't find something super awesome, entertaining and uplifting posted on Facebook by my friends. That doesn't mean that the world's a miserable place. I can control what time of day I stop looking at my cell phone. Oh, that one's hard for me, you guys. I definitely am the cool, let me check one more time, or oh, here's this YouTube video I meant to watch. I'll watch it before I go to sleep. The reality is I can choose when I stop looking at my cell phone. And that's something that I totally wimp out in doing all the time. But especially if I feel yucky after, you know, trolling around on the interwebs, well, why on earth would I keep doing that? I can choose to be like, nope, I'm done. Yeah. So the controller. Take out a piece of paper and something to write with, or open a new document or a note. I'm just going to talk because here we are. At the top, write under control, and then write these 5 categories: habits, home, technology, thoughts, and friends. Under each one, write down one thing you can control in each category. Try to push your creativity and not write down the first or maybe even the second thing that comes to mind. When you're done, we would have called on people if we had time and less. We never have time to make it this far. So, yeah, this is a really good one. All right, habits that I can control. Um, I can control. I think my cell phone is a good one to pick. I can control when I stop looking at my cell phone in the evening. That's a bad habit, and I can control that one. That would be easy to do. Home. What's something I can control in around my home? I can control putting things away after using them. I read a really great rule from somebody one time called the one touch rule. And the idea is if your space gets chaotic like mine does, one simple mindset trick is when you're interacting with an object, follow the one touch rule. So if I'm using this pen to write in my planner today, I shouldn't just set it down knowing that I'm going to need to pick it up a second time. I'm going to need to touch it a second time to put it away later. Because the reality is I often don't put in the effort for that second touch. I'm already done with it. Hence the piles that accumulate or the chaos. Especially my laundry, you guys, when I'm terrible at that particular bit of putting away. But that one touch rule, I can remember that. And when I think about that, it makes it really easy to just go, well, I'm touching this thing right now. I've got my sweatshirt right here. I should fold it up and put it away. So I only touched it one time instead of needing to interact with it 2 or more times. Technology. Um, I can use a piece of paper more often than I give myself permission to. I have a paper planner that really helps me stay organized in ways that my phone or my computer doesn't. When I want to brainstorm or plan something, I should write down more things. I can do that. I can write on a piece of paper instead of feeling like the computer has all the answers. Thoughts. I can remind myself that every person in the world is some mother's baby. And I sure love my babies. And becoming a mom, that was one of the things that really changed my worldview when I found frustrating people or when I looked at people in need in our community that are ignored. I saw them with new eyes since I was a mom because I thought, gosh, that's someone's baby right there. And that certainly made me feel different about my responsibility, what level of effort I was willing to put in to be compassionate towards somebody else. Um, and I think, especially while we're isolated right now, it's really easy to just treat virtual people as not real. But even the virtual people that I see on the news or on YouTube or on social media, um, they're somebody's baby. And that I just like I want my babies to be happy and loved, I want those people to be happy and loved too. Friends. Guys, I suck at calling my friends. I'm a grown up now, and I'm definitely one of those people that I have like 3 real friends in my life, and I love them like family. And despite distance and time apart, we've stayed intensely connected, and it's delightful to have real friends like that. But they're as stressed and overwhelmed as I am. I actually like the idea that they have right here, like sending a daily gift. I don't know if I could send one every day, but that's a really fun idea for an easy way to just reach out to my friends without any like desire to fetch their attention back. But when I think about my friends, I can choose to interact with them instead of going, oh, it's too late. I don't want to wake them up, or I don't want to bother anybody. Everybody's busy. I talk myself down from interacting with my friends a lot because I worry about that. So, but I could absolutely choose to do this. That's totally under my control, and it would make everybody feel good. All right. Any further questions? How do we determine what is something we can control and something we can't? What do you think most people spend more time thinking about, what they can or can't control? I worry about the things I can't control all the time. I would love to learn how to not do that better. What do you think someone should do if they have a lot in their life they can't control? I think this kind of exercise we did today is really helpful, focusing on things I can control. I do this when I feel overwhelmed too. It's one of the reasons I end up being a workaholic. When things are out of control in my life, I go, cool. You know what? I'm capable. I can work harder. I'm going to find something that I can actually succeed at. I'm going to work hard to get that thing done. It doesn't always take care of the real chaos or the real source of stress, but it does help me regain a little bit of control or gain some positive momentum to move forward. What are steps someone can take to focus on the things in their life they can control? All right, humility. Gosh, I'm a small person in this world. The balancing act. Write down one thing you say to yourself often that is healthy or helpful, and one thing you think about yourself that is unhealthy or not helpful. Next time you think a version of that unhealthy thought, challenge yourself to pause and try to balance it out with a new perspective or focus on something positive. And truth or dare, if we had done the dare last week, we would have been able to talk about it. The filter. See if you can catch yourself getting frustrated or stressed about something in your life before we next meet. When you feel yourself thinking about all the things you can't control, choose to notice at least two things you can. This is the whole like one step backwards, two steps forward, right? Comes from an old Japanese proverb. Fall down 7, stand up 8. When we next meet, we will talk about a few of these circumstances. It could be something you experience on your own, among family, during school, wherever it is, remember it or write it down and chat about the next time we talk. All right, everybody. There we go. That was our advisory lesson. Thanks for joining me today. I enjoy and treasure every minute we get to spend together. I hope you're well, and I'll see you next time.